In some manner, in some way, we all strive for status and position in life. The thing is, we need to move from a point of view to a viewing point. That is, all things are relative. I'll give you a few examples. The executive vice president of my company and we had this great personable conversation, and I couldn't believe the things that he was telling me. Now, he was executive vice president. I was a customer service rep. He was making big money and it had a big office and everything. We got into this conversation, and he told me, he said, my job is mostly absorbing the information and absorbing the rebukes and the demands of the higher ups. I'm thinking, you have a higher up? You're executive vice president. I mean, like, the only person to me that's over you is the president of our division. But there are many higher ups over him, and they made a lot of demands on him. And he got to the point where he said that he really he really wished he was doing what I was doing, talking to the customers. He enjoyed his job better when he was in a lower position talking to customers. I couldn't believe that. Now, here I am making peanut money, making in a position that's maybe one step above the janitor, and the janitor was probably making more money than I was. And the executive vice president is telling me he wished he was doing what I was doing. And that taught me an invaluable lesson. Another situation, when I was taking chemo, and I've spoken about chemo in another one of these videos, two other videos actually. When you're going through bad things in life, and I don't look for the cliche or the axiom that there's always someone else worse off than you. However, that is true. But there are things that I've learned to help me appreciate, even though I was in a bad situation, to me, I ended up thinking, I'm doing pretty good. I was taking chemo and had 6 regimens of it. In the chemo room, there are a lot of people in there, a lot of chemo patients. There's one TV in there, and there's a lot of things going on. The thing is, I had to be in there between 45 minutes up to maybe an hour and a half. One day, this nurse came to me and said, do you want to go into the private room? There's space. So, yes, thank you. So I went into this private room, chemo room, and it only had 2 positions, 2 chairs, and they were about a foot apart. And there was one TV. That's better than the one TV in the other room with 15, 20 people. It was just one TV for 2 people. At this time, it was me and one other guy. Of course, we struck up a conversation, and the guy asked me what my disease was and everything, and I told him non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and I asked him about his disease. He says, I don't have AIDS, but I have the equivalent of AIDS. That is, my body doesn't create immune system cells. So I don't have an immune system. So I have to have this infused into me every single month. He said, you see that bottle up there? And there was this bottle, probably like a 2-quart bottle. He said, you see that bottle? That bottle cost $1,500. I was like, wow. And I said, how long does it take for you to get your infusion here? He said, 6 hours. I was like, wow, 6 hours? He says, how long does it take you? I said, 45 minutes up to an hour and a half. He's like, man, that's great. I wish I had that. And he said, that $1,500, I said, do you have to pay for that? He said, my insurance pays for it. But he says, there's this other lady who has the same thing I have, and her insurance doesn't pay for all of it, so she has to pay $800 a month. Now, this is every single month for the rest of their life, ever how long that is or will be. So I started thinking, thank you, God, that I have what I have. I thanked God for having non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. I thanked God for chemo, and I thanked God that my chemo infusion only lasted at maximum an hour and a half. And I only had 6 regimens, and by the grace of God, I went into remission after that. If this guy is still living, he's still taking that bottle every single month. I'm telling you, things are all relative. And we have to appreciate these things. Another situation. I've been to movie premieres. And now this is a metaphor for almost everything in life. That's the way I see it. When you go to a movie premiere, let's say you go to the premiere of Braveheart. Now, everybody there is focused on Mel Gibson. He's the star of the movie. I have a lot of pictures with a lot of celebrities. I'm saying that in a braggadocious way. I'm just saying. And I've stood around and talked to a lot of celebrities and I've become friends with a lot of them. I'm friends with them on Facebook. People say, how did you get that picture? I have a picture with Michael Jackson. He was standing there by himself. This is what happens. And I learned this after the Michael Jackson situation. It was at the premiere of The Wiz, and everybody at that time was focusing on Diana Ross. Michael Jackson was standing there by himself. And when I went up to talk to him, he was just happy that somebody came up and talked to him. I talked to him, we chewed the fat, took a picture with him, and I learned from that. So all the premieres subsequent to that, what I did, instead of going for the person who is starring in the movie, there are a lot of celebrities just standing around, and they want somebody to recognize them. And when I go up and talk to them, it's almost like they'll kiss me. It's like, thank you, somebody recognized me and somebody is acknowledging me. And people ask me, how do you get these pictures with all these people? I learned that, like, going for the gold, going for the gusto, that these people over here, this thing over here is as important or more important than the thing that you're going for over there. I'll put it in a female situation. I've been in places where almost every place you go, there's a girl who is probably the best looking girl in there at that time. Her makeup is perfect, hair is perfect, and just looking at her, she's perfect. So every guy goes after her. The thing is, that 30, 40 other girls standing around now, they have on jeans, they may have on sneakers, but they're still beautiful women. And I've talked to those girls, and people have asked me, man, you always got the prettiest girlfriend. How do you do that? That girl, that's the same girl that came and asked you, started trying to talk to you, and you wouldn't talk to her because you were looking at that one girl that everybody else was looking at. I apply that metaphor in life. What everybody else is going for that one thing, there are a whole lot of other great things right there next to you if you would just only turn around and look at it and value it. I used to want a Ferrari. I wanted a Ferrari very, very, very badly. I'm trying to show you how things are relative in life. I was at a service station right here in the town I live in. This guy pulls up in this red Ferrari right next to me. He was getting gas, and I just said, man, that's a great looking car, man. This is great. And I thought he was going to say, oh, yeah, man, yeah. It's like, yeah, I'm the man. He just said, thank you. Just like that. I said, wow, man, this is great. Yeah, thank you, man. And then he launched into how he got the car. He said, I won this car. I'm like, wow, man, you won this car. That's great. That's great. He said, yeah, I won it. I was top salesperson, and my company gave me the car. I'm thinking, man, you should be rejoiced. I mean, you got the car for free. Then he he revealed more. The more and more he revealed, the less and less I wanted a Ferrari, and the more and more I learned. He said, I can barely afford the insurance on the car. He says a tune-up costs. He said you can't take it to like tune-up masters you have to take it to the dealer. He says everything on this car is expensive. He says there's no junkyard, there's no Ferrari junkyard. So if I just want a lug nut that goes on my tire, I have to go buy 4 of them. He said, and it's $75 for lug nuts. I was thinking, wow, everything is expensive. He said, I'm going to have to get rid of this car. And he got the car for free. So I thought totally different about a Ferrari. I had a friend to win a Ferrari from KJLH radio. He was the 23rd caller. Won the car. Used to ride around with him all the time. He lived in Venice Beach. And one day I was looking through the parking lot. I said, where's your car? He said, there it is. I kept looking. And then it's like, wow. And this car was sitting there. It was almost like a piece of junk. Well, somebody came and stole this little window that was right on his passenger side of his car. It's just a little like vent window. He said, man, that thing costs X number of dollars. Like, wow. He said, it needs a manifold, and that costs X number of dollars. And I was like, wow. And like everything costs. That thing was, he got the car for free, and he couldn't afford to keep it. After those 2 stories, I said, I'm driving, I think I was driving like a 84 Honda Prelude. Man, I appreciated my 84 Honda Prelude a whole lot more after I heard those stories. Last story, Lamborghini. I thought a Lamborghini was the bomb.com until I was at this place. It's like some type of auto shop or something. And this guy was talking to me about a Lamborghini. He just said it straight out. He said, man, a Lamborghini, it is not a car to be driven on the streets. He said the visibility in that car, seeing out of it is really hard. It handles very tough. He says it's not a good driving car. You're sitting very low. And he was telling me all the negative things about it. He said this car belongs on a racetrack, but to own this car, you see, I wouldn't have this car if somebody gave it to me. And after he told me that, I said my 84 Honda Prelude drives very well, and I appreciated that. And so I started applying these types of stories to like every aspect of my life. Things are very, very relative. So what you think that you have is junk, or it's on the bottom of the totem pole. Most of the time, what you have is better than that $100,000 something that someone else has. So appreciate what you have.